just quickly whether you can see us and hear us well enough to do the presentation and then a Q&A session. Can you just confirm it in the chat window, please?
Yeah, and meanwhile, I will introduce myself. I am Anette Sarv, and I'm Estonian and second-year student of Hospitality Management in Stenden.
Let's see. Okay, we'll see that Estelle is fine, Maya and Daya as well. Tusha, okay, John. Great. Seems like everything is working perfectly. Okay, well, what do we want to do with you today? We have an agenda for you. So we want to talk about who we are as, well, persons, of course, but also what Stenden does. We will introduce to you our Stenden Hotel by means of a short video. And then we will tell you something about the content of the first, second, and third year of this education. We will also cover the Grand Tour exchange and minors that are possible during your study here at Stenden, and then explain to you what the final year and the internship entail. And also, we will cover some career opportunities and some other practical information about admission and costs, and then you have the opportunity to ask questions. If you have any questions in between, or while we are doing the presentation, just write the question in the chat window, and we will do our best to answer them right away. Our colleague Gabi Seemann is also available. She can assist us and has a lot of knowledge about admission and information for international students.
First, we're going to show you a video of the practical part in our school, and after that we will give a presentation.
Welcome. My name is Elena. I'm studying International Hospitality Management at Stenden where theory is put into practice. Today, I'm going to take you for a visit to the Stenden Hotel just to give you an inside look of how the hotel operates in its own unique way. This is the front desk where we welcome our guests, and the first real contact between guests and students takes place. Remember, there is no second chance to make a first good impression. This is the lobby, the central meeting point of the hotel. And over here is the bar, where guests can order a fresh cup of coffee, enjoy a tasty cocktail in the evening, or just drink a local beer. Our next visit is to the restaurant Van A, where we serve amazing dishes made with local products. It's very important to service with a smile to make sure our guests have a memorable experience. Welcome to the kitchen. Here we cook according to the 5 principles of the new Dutch cuisine. We collaborate with local suppliers for the special freezing touch. Here our students are top chefs. We created dishes, but who is actually responsible for ordering all of the ingredients and products that we need? Well, that will be the purchasing department. Now we are the canteen. Here we also cook according to the new Dutch cuisine and sell all kinds of different products inspired by different Stenden campuses like South Africa and Asia. Made by our own students, of course. Have a look around. We have arrived at the Cafe If. Here we sell homemade, fresh products like power juices, energizing yogurts, and the most delicious part is the cheesecake of Leeuwarden. Here at Housekeeping, we work as a team to provide our guests with star quality rooms. Communication and teamwork are key. Stenden also has 5 conference rooms available for events, meetings, and conferences. We have come to an end of our visit. I hope you enjoyed the inside look that we gave you from the practice module and the Stenden Hotel and its own unique way of operating. We hope to welcome you again in the future.
I'm gonna take you. So that was the video.
Welcome back. Are you still able to hear us? Hopefully. Okay, we will continue with our presentation, and we want to explain to you something about the content of the 4 years at Stenden International Hotel Management. So in year 1, you will have 10 weeks of practical experience, and it will take place in the hotel and the restaurant and the canteen that you just saw. So you will be on an operational level in that year, and this is the first, for a lot of students, the first time they work in hospitality. For some it's not, but you will be working in every single department and, well, to get acquainted with the hospitality industry. A total of 20 weeks of practice is involved in this study. And, well, the first 10 weeks are in the first year, and then in year 2 you will have another 5, and in year 3 another 5 weeks. I will just keep going. I see that our screen froze, but hopefully you're still able to see us. So apart from practice, you of course will be educated with theoretical knowledge. And I see a question: what are the PBL tasks? Good question. PBL is a way of educating our students, and PBL stands for problem-based learning. And it actually entails that you are together with a round of 12 students, and you have a setting like in a meeting. There's a chairperson, there's a secretary, a board writer, and an observer. And you as a group, you have to tackle problems, and those problems correspond with the theory that you will learn in workshops and in lectures as well. So it's one circle that is round at the end of the module, and it all connects. There's another bullet point here that says something about intercultural sensitivity, and that is also crucial in this education since we're an international hotel school. Overall at Stenden we have about 40 nationalities, and they're all represented in the hotel school. So from day 1 on, you will be dealing with people from Bulgaria, from Estonia, from Germany, the UK. So it's very diverse, and you have to get used to that, especially in the first module when you start. Maybe you can say something about this, Annette.
Yeah, for the intercultural diversity, I really enjoy it because I'm a second year, and today I have friends from all over the world. And additionally to that, since I had to work with diverse cultures and diverse nationalities, I really learned how they about their culture and how these people are, and like it really like it's amazing. It's just amazing. And some examples about the 10 weeks of practice. Again, in last year was my first year, and I did all these 10 weeks, and it's really really useful. And for example, I prepared 6-course menu in the restaurant kitchen. I served the guests in the restaurant. I made actual check-ins with the guests in front office. I cleaned the rooms of these guests, and so on and so on. So it really, I didn't have any experience before I came here, and now it really opened my eyes. I saw how the hotel works, and I also know which department I would like to work in the future career. So the practical part is a big advantage with our school.
Okay, let's move on to the second year. In year 2, as you can see on the slide, you will have another 5 weeks of practice. I mentioned it before. But now you're not only operational, but you're a supervisor. So that means you get some more responsibility. You are the supervisor of the first years. So it means that you have to grow in terms of leadership and also in terms of management. Again, the theory that you learn in the other modules should enable you to be or become a leader and manager, and you can actually try out some things. You learned in theory A. How does it work in reality? So that's why we put you 5 weeks in practice again. One of our USPs is that in the second year you can go abroad, and we are the only hotel school who offers this. Usually students are only allowed to go abroad on a later stage in their study. But with Stenden IHM, you can go to one of our campuses in South Africa, Bali, Thailand, or Qatar already in the second year and follow one of the regular modules there. There's a third bullet point, and I want to check with Annette. Have you already run your virtual hotel ops assignment?
Yes, I did that. The video. Sorry, we're trying to fix the video. It's keep frozen.
Maybe we can just...
yeah, we will just continue. Maybe it will work. Well, the HOTS as module includes a kind of like simulation game from the computer. You have your own hotel, and you have to really like play with, for example, investments and make it work. Like you can play with the hotel. You are the boss there. Try things, for example, make the room prices very high, see what happens, and so on. So it's really, yeah, you can use creativity, but at the same time you have to be responsible and write assignment about your experience.
So it's something where you can try out what it means to be a manager and responsible of the finance of a hotel. And some students go bankrupt, some are really good at it. It's just a game where you can try out different strategies. So it's a very safe way to run your own business very early on in your study. The last thing that you can see is that we offer different languages. There's an entire module dedicated to a second language, second foreign language. And we have the choice between French, German, Spanish, and Mandarin and Russian. But I think you did Dutch as well, right?
Yeah. It's also possible to study Dutch, absolutely. And I did Dutch beginners, and I received A1 level, which means like I can use Dutch in everyday situations, and it really helped me here in the Netherlands. And I can also bring some examples about the practice. I already had my practice for 5 weeks as a supervisor, and I did it in a restaurant and front office, and I really enjoyed it. But at the same time, it's quite challenging because you are the responsible for your first year students. You have to keep them motivated, you have to give trainings, yeah, and supervise them. So it's challenging, but it's yeah, it's a nice, really nice experience.
Okay, let's see. So we covered year 1 and 2, and then we move on to year 3. And year 3 is, for most of our students, the year in which they go to one of our campuses abroad, or they go on exchange. And that actually means that they choose to do their minors abroad. A minor can be used to either broaden your knowledge or to dig a little deeper, so a specialization. We offer the diverse minors in South Africa, Bali, Qatar, and Bangkok, but if you want to go on exchange, you can go to other universities all over the world. It means a little bit more work because you have to write an own proposal, but still it's about you and the topic that you want to develop it. So here you see just a selection of the minors that we offer. There are plenty more of them, but it gives you an idea of how diverse the choice is. And we can emphasize, for example, advanced wine management, which is a minor in South Africa. I hear from students that it's quite demanding. If you do this one well, you get a certificate within 6 months that others study, I think, 2 years for, and you will actually go to Cape Town, to the Wine Academy. So it gives you a lot of knowledge about wine, how it's made, wine food pairing, which can be very useful for those of you who might want to become a sommelier, for example.
And I can bring another example. I am actually preparing my grand tour at the moment. I need to arrange the tickets, flight tickets, and so on. And I'm very excited for it. I'm going to Bali and Thailand to specialize in event management. I'm extremely excited about it. Can't wait to go. And also with the exchange programs, there are a lot of opportunities. For example, my friend, she's Lithuanian and she goes to Australia for the 5 months. So there are possibilities to do the minors somewhere else, and it really depends on you, what you want, what you like. And it's also possible to stay in the Netherlands. You don't have to go anywhere else, whatever suits you the best. Move on to the year 4.
Okay, the year 4, that's your final year for your bachelor, and it involves a 10-month management internship. This is an internship at a hospitality company of your choice, and in our network we have companies in 27 different countries. So you have to think about where you want to go, so what country, what company suits you, what kind of position you would like, and what kind of things you want to learn. And thinking about this already starts in year 2 or year 3. As you can see in the numbers, in the study year 2013-14, 56% of our students chose to stay in the Netherlands. So that's also an opportunity. But 44% of the students went abroad. So again, you can do it anywhere you want. You can use our network or choose to organize a lot by yourself. But it should be an internship on management level, and it's mandatory in your 4th year.
And there are many advantages with the internship. For example, it's possible to get a paid internship. My friend is going to Miami for 10 months, and she will earn $1,500 per month, which is quite high for internship. And another advantage of that is that when for some students the companies ask them to stay, so during your graduation you already have a job from the place that you already worked, get to know for 10 months. So it is also possible to stay in the same place if you really like it and if the company loves you as well.
Yeah, a lot of our students get offered a job. We can see that on the next slide. Actually, it's more than 90% of our students have a job after or at graduation. That doesn't necessarily mean that they stay in their placement company, but it happens a lot. And the logos tell you a little bit about the variety of companies that our alumni work at. Of course, you will find lots of well-known brands like Marriott or Sheraton, which are hospitality-related companies. But for example, ING Bank, that's just a bank, or you can find Achmea, which is an insurance company. They are also very interested in our alumni because our alumni are very flexible. They're sort of all-rounders with a focus on hospitality, so they're very service-oriented, which makes them very attractive for other industries as well.
Yeah, so basically the future career opportunity is very broad, and it really depends on a person where you end up.
I just want to answer a question here. Well, maybe I can just answer it differently. There is a question from Patricia. Is it possible to continue with a second language from B2 level on? Yes, that might be possible. You can either learn an entire new language, something that you haven't learned before, or you can say, well, I have a basic level or an advanced level in French, but I want to improve. Then you can do that as well. So either you build upon something you already know, or you learn something entirely new. Okay, we are now on the slide with the admission requirements. You can study here at Stenden IHM, mostly with a high school diploma. It depends a little bit on the country of origin. And for some countries, an English test is required. So, will you copy that link? Yes. Annette is looking up a link for you, which gives you information about which qualifications enable you to study here and whether you need an additional English proficiency test.
Yes, and I will also add English.
Yeah. Wait a second. Okay, so let's move on. We covered year 1, 2, 3, and 4 of your bachelor, but you're probably also curious about student life and housing. As you can see on the slides that is up right now, we also offer student housing. It is not mandatory to stay on campus. However, for non-EU students, it is very handy. And since you are not from the EU, you are prioritized when it comes to providing students with student housing. But of course, you're also allowed to find your own room, and you can do that here in the city. You can also choose to live in a village nearby. But most students, because they want to enjoy the actual student life, they choose to stay rather close by. Leeuwarden itself is not that big. It has about 100,000 inhabitants, and almost a quarter of them are students. Not all at Stenden. We have 3 universities of applied sciences here, so you can imagine what the student life and what the atmosphere in this city actually is. Finding a room in Leeuwarden is not that hard, and compared to other student cities in the Netherlands, it's certainly not that expensive, but maybe you can say something about this.
The general price per month is 350 to 400 euros, and it's usually all inclusive, water, gas, and electricity. So that is a big advantage. And I also added a website of the where you can find other places where to find the house. It doesn't include campus. I mean, there is also a campus possibility, but other sites. So if you prefer not to stay in the campus, there are trustworthy lists where you can find something else. And this is about the housing. If you have any questions, you can always ask. Maybe we'll miss something. But yeah, we will move on to the city life in Leeuwarden.
Well, you study here. I didn't study here, so I think you are the expert in telling the students about the student life.
Yeah, the student life here is pretty interesting, and the festivals, partying is quite crazy. First, I can talk about festivals, since most of the DJs, like very famous DJs, are from Netherlands. Then there are a lot of festivals when they perform, and the tickets are not expensive. And yeah, these festivals are huge and they're very often. Then we have a really nice pub street, where students go there all the time. It doesn't matter if it's Monday or Friday. There are always somebody partying, and many discounts. Very often you see 2 drinks for one, and so on. So partying is very active here. And also we have a lot of fitness opportunities. We have a big fitness campus next to school, also brand new. Everything is very pretty, good equipment, and we offer many different kind of sports. Like you can do anything here: Zumba, Pilates, yoga, booty camps. We have swimming. We have football. You name it, and also a gym, quite big gym, where you can just go and train, and yeah, for heavy weights. Then we have some events for students, just like you can see from the picture, big cinema outside. That was in the beginning of the year, which was really really nice. A lot of students attended. They showed the one movie, popcorn, anything. It was yeah, very attractive to students. And also when it's just nice weather, we go on a terrace. We just take a cold drinks and enjoy the weather, or rent a boat and just drive through the canal. So there's a lot to do.
We have a few questions, sorry to interrupt, about student housing, and Gabi, our colleague, already answered that it's not that difficult to find a room in Leeuwarden. There was one question whether it's better to book the student housing before you get the confirmation of entering the university. I would not advise that. I mean, you first want a confirmation, but what you can do already is orientate yourself. So look around. There are Facebook groups like Housing Leeuwarden. You can check out some websites that offer rooms in the Netherlands in general, but also, of course, then they would have a link to Leeuwarden. You can check out student housing. Maybe you can already orientate yourself on what you would like best, and then once you are admitted and or enrolled, then take care of the housing. It shouldn't be that big of a problem. Leeuwarden is rather fair to its students, and the prices are certainly doable. So if you start now, it's really early on. First, I'd say take care of the enrollment and the application procedure.
Yeah, I definitely also suggest to start finding it early, and not to leave it in the last minute. But yeah, there are opportunities, of course.
Well, there's a question about grade requirements for the diplomas. The links we shared show you what diplomas are eligible for being admitted to this university. So if you have this diploma, then you are allowed to enter Stenden IHM. There's not a certain grade average that you need.
Yeah, the first link that we shared in the chat is about that. We will move on to the costs overview. Yeah, so for the European students, the tuition fee per year is around 2,000 euros. And for non-European students, it's 7,850 euros per year. In hospitality management program, we also advise to buy the uniform, which includes the business attire, as you can see on the picture, and also kitchen uniform, as you saw from the video before. And it also includes professional knives, which you can keep. And actually, I used it in the first year, and I still use the knives because they're really sharp and good. And specific shoes for kitchen, and so on. So it includes a lot, and yeah, it's good quality. In addition, books and readers, it's approximately 150 euros per year, but we have a very good cute library in Stenden, and for me personally, I have only bought around, I think, 4 or 5 books in total in 2 years, because I either borrowed it from library or just from some friends. So it really depends.
And sometimes students who move on to the second or third year, or maybe quit or graduate, they also sell their books. So you can always buy books secondhand to limit your costs, because books can be quite expensive. But if you want to work in the library, you'll be totally fine. There is another bullet point: the study start week. It costs 95 euros. The study start week is well, actually your introduction week, that is at the end of August. And in this week you will get to know your coach, you will get to know the group you start your study year with. So it's not like we put you in a class on day one and say, well, now perform. No, you can make some friends, you can ease into the study, into the Netherlands and into Leeuwarden by doing a lot of sports, doing a lot of, having a lot of parties, to do some PBL to get used to it and get some general information about how Stenden works and how you find your way around here. So this week is usually a lot of fun. Usually my students tell me it's the most fun week they experience in the first year. I think you can agree on that, and it's very, very useful to find your way around.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I highly suggest to attend the study start week, because for me it was very useful. Additionally to the parties, as Monique explained, they also help you with everything. Every little detail, every question you have, your host will help you. They show you exactly how the Blackboard system works online, where to find your courses, how to enroll to the courses, like everything. They will help you, and it really makes you clarify before you start your study. So yeah, I recommend it for sure.
There is a question here about the costs for exchange or study abroad. That is actually our last bullet point on this sheet. It is optional to go on Grand Tour. We won't force you to study abroad for a minor or a semester or a year. But if you go on Grand Tour, which means that you will be spending a module or two on one of our campuses abroad, then the additional costs to what is mentioned above are approximately 1,200 euros for 10 weeks. And that is including housing and the meal plan, and also including the visa. The flight ticket, though, is an extra cost. If you go on exchange, this might vary a little bit, because those are just the numbers for what we as Stenden ask from our students. So other universities might handle different tariffs. Let's see, there is another question. Is it possible to get the uniform fitting during study start week if you're coming from abroad? Gabi is also already answering this. The fitting will take place in the beginning of September, and the study start week starts on August. So those are all things that need to be taken care of at the beginning of your study, and the fitting will take place a few weeks into the first module. So it's on the 1st of September, and that is the Friday of the study start week. So don't be afraid, you will have your clothes ready once you go into practice.
Yeah, I also came to Holland just a few days before the study start week, and I managed to do everything on time, so don't have to worry about that.
Okay, let's see. Well, this was our presentation so far. I see that there are a lot of questions already. Well, feel free to ask anything about admission, about the program itself, about the different study years or the modules. We can either use the chat window on the left side, left bottom, or we will just give the answers in the video. So let's see. Gabi is already really helpful. She talked about the fitting, which will take place during the study start week at the 1st of September for international students. And then Estelle is asking whether it's possible to study a foreign language in year 1. Well, it's not in your curriculum, It's not part of the modules that you learn. However, you have English in 2 modules, in resources and in guest experience, so you will definitely get classes in English. However, the second foreign language, you can do it voluntarily, of course. You can either join our language center. We have a language center here at school. Additional costs might be involved, but then you can do it at your own pace and, well, with some classes. You can also choose to do an online course, or you go to a different language institute. You're free to do that, but it's not part of the curriculum except for English.
There is another question from Alejandra. And is there any difference for the short track? Yes, there is. The full program lasts 4 years in total, and the short track is for 3 years. The 4 years means that you will stay in school for 3 years, and the last year is your practice for 10 months. And in short track, you will be in school for 2 years, and the last year, the third year, is your internship. So it is 1 year shorter. Yeah.
There's a question about when you can apply to get into Stenden University if the student is able to start studying in July, August. So the study year officially starts in September. It's our September intake, but it's preceded by the study start week, which is at the end of August. You can apply already. The deadline for application is the 15th of August, if I'm correct. Maybe Gabi can confirm that. The final deadline for application for international students is the 15th of August. I think you can take care of application and enrollment right now already. But of course, you will have to have proof of your diploma, high school diploma, at some point. So either you're waiting for that or you already have it, but you can take care of it ASAP.
And one addition to Alejandra's question about the short track, I have friends who study short track and their information are combined. So they skip some of the information, some of the assignments, and some modules they really have a lot more work than in full program. But you will cover the most important aspects, and yeah. We got another question.
Are there any university clubs or something similar? Basically, groups of students with the same interest. Yes, there are. Do you want to say something about this?
I don't know many of them, but I know that, for example, Wine Association.
Dionysus, and we have one that is called Iovifat. It is sort of similar to what you would call a fraternity or sorority in, for example, the United States. However, it is not that exclusive. Iovifat is a group of students, formerly only IHM students, but they opened to other studies quite recently. And that is just people who get together, who organize events, who organize trips, who represent especially us as hotelos. We call ourselves hotelos. So it's certainly a gathering of students who have the same interests. But we also have a group of students who like cooking, for example, who like gastronomy, wine, food pairing, and they cook together, I think it's always on Wednesdays, and that is called Kuore. We also have Stenden Toastmasters, and that is a group of students that want to improve in public speaking. They do a lot of events together, and they train each other in presentation skills, etc. So there is a variety of clubs that you could join, and you can just make the choice based on your preferences or affinities.
There are several other questions.
Yes. Would you recommend bringing business attire for year one? Well, the Stenden suit that you will buy, or that you're that's mandatory to buy, that is your business attire. So if we have, for example, a guest lecture, we always ask our students to come professionally dressed, and that means that you can always wear the Stenden suit. That is your well, the safest way. But I mean, you are a hospitality professional, and let's say you choose to have a part-time job or anything, or you have maybe even a job at Stenden, then it might be necessary to bring at least a jacket or some nice trousers. So it cannot hurt, but you certainly do not have to bring an entire wardrobe full of skirts and jackets and high heels. The Stenden suit is fine, and that's the minimum, and you can certainly survive the first year with that. There's another question. Let's see. The problem is that I won't have a diploma by 2018. Okay, about the diploma. Well, Maya, let's see. Okay, Agabi's already answering Maya's question about the diploma, I think. Yes?
We can answer to Leonardo's question.
Leonardo?
So you suggest to arrive in Leeuwarden just a few days before the introduction week, or we have to arrive many weeks in advance.
Well, what did you do?
I came just a few, I think 3 or 2 days before my study start week, and then the study start week is also like 5 days of activities, and then you have a weekend off, and then you will start your studies. If you have a room, if you have found a room in advance, if everything is done with your application, if you have no concerns, and then a few days before the study start week is absolutely enough. I recommend to come, a few days, then you can get familiar with the city and maybe visit the school, look it around or something like that. But not necessarily weeks before.
No, it's also, I mean, you have your summer break, of course. The study start week is a fun week, but it's also mandatory, and that will certainly help you to ease in to your new life in Leeuwarden and Stenden. However, of course, if you want to come a week or 2 in advance, that's your decision. Maybe you already found a room, maybe you want to take some time to find a room, then it's certainly advisable. But if you want to live in student housing, you can take care of that from a distance. So you do not necessarily have to be here, and then you can decide to just arrive on Sunday afternoon, and then your first day at Stenden will be the Monday of the study start week. It's totally up to you, but the study start week, end of August, that is mandatory.
Gabi is answering.
I think Gabi's answering the question about the admission for fall 2018. When do we know if we got in? Let's see, it's Gabi busy. Well, if you apply before August 15th, and that is for EU students, I think, right? You should have an answer not too late, because the study start week is only about 2 weeks later, so that decision will be quite soon, and actually that goes for other deadlines as well. I cannot really give you a time frame, but I'm assuming the longer you wait with your application, the quicker it will be compared to the application date. But if you take care of it now, depending on your personal situation and diploma, whether there are any unclarities, it should not take more than, I don't know, about 6 weeks, something like that. We're already in May, so we're quite close to the summer break, of course, but maybe Gabi can confirm that. How long does it usually take to give the students a confirmation about their admission and enrollment?
We have another question. I lost it.
Is it easy to rooms? Is it easy to find rooms?
Is it easy to find rooms? I really suggest to start looking early, because I left it too late and I came here and didn't have any room, which was a really big problem for me, and it's a little bit stressful, but it really depends on a person. If anything is okay for you, then it's possible to find, but if you're like picky or you want your own bathroom, you definitely have to start earlier. It really depends on a person,
Yeah, it really depends on whether you're picky, or maybe you're coming with other students from one city. I've had that I had students who were all from Bulgaria and they were friends and they found an apartment together, and that's actually what often happens here. They do not live in student housing, but they just rent an apartment with 2, 3, 4 people with an actual living room, a kitchen, and they all have their own rooms. Dutch students do that a lot, and international students seem to have found their way to that as well. So that's also an option. Do you come alone or not? But usually Leeuwarden, from what I hear from my students, it's not that difficult.
I will try to find the Facebook page, which is about housing, and a lot of students post like information about new rooms, that they're looking for a roommate or they're renting a room. So this is another possibility where to find a room.
There's a question about whether there is a list of all the student university clubs. That's a very good question. I don't think there is a list. I do know, however, that there is a project that wants to assemble all this information. So hopefully this list or information will be available soon. Gabi, I think, is now looking whether she can find a list online. There's probably some information about EOFIFAT quota. I can type them in, so yeah, that you know how you spell the names. Yeah, let me see. Then you can maybe find them. But I do assume that there's not a complete list. Where is it? Just 1 second, please. Now it should work. Oh, quota is one of them. Just 1 second, please. The cursor is a little slower than I am. Okay, now it's coming. We have Toastmasters. I have to. This is spelled that way.
Gabby also added a link about
very nice.
Student unions.
There's a question from Leonardo. I received a letter of offer and I read that I need an insurance policy and a Dutch bank account. When and where should I do it? Before or after my arrival? Let's see. When did you do it, Annette?
I did it when I came here, and I did it actually, I think, 3 weeks after, because first I just used cash. I just took cash out of the ATM, so that was, I could live with that. But the first thing I think you need to do is to register yourself in the city, and then you can apply for the bank account, and yeah, you make the bank account, and then your life will get so much more convenient. But you don't have to do it before you come here. If you have Visa or MasterCards that also work here in the Netherlands, you can really yeah, manage without the bank card, and then as soon as you're here, you can like yeah, you don't have to hurry in things. Just take it easy. Go to the register yourself in town. Then you can apply for the bank, and then you can buy yourself the phone number or so on, so on. So yeah, if it's possible for you to use your own credit cards or bank cards, whatever, then it's not like necessarily to do it before.
And maybe you already have an insurance or healthcare at home, and maybe that even covers your stay abroad. But that's something you need to figure out first. Maybe you can also get some advice from your insurer. But of course, healthcare is certainly something you need to take care of at some point. And once you're here, it might be easier to take care of the Dutch system, but that is not something you want to postpone too long. If you get the flu, if you break your leg, you want somebody to, or you want a hospital to offer you care. So this is something that is certainly crucial, but the hosts, as Gabi said and as Annette said, they can assist you with something, certainly with setting up a bank account. There is a link, Annette is looking it up, about healthcare. It is on our website. We will just post the link in the chat window so you can access it at your convenience. It gives you some information about what is necessary. Great. So the link we now just posted is about the health insurance, as you can see. And then we can move on to our next question. Pietro is saying that he will be receiving his diploma in July. So is it then to enter the university? And Gabi is quick as a cat, and it seems that she is replying to it already. Let's see what the answer will be, and otherwise we'll take care of it. And Stefania is already typing, also typing. Patricia has a question. Let's see.
Yes, any other questions about anything, life in the Netherlands, maybe some culture shocks, about school program, feel free to ask. That's why we're here, and we would like to be sure that all your questions will be answered. There is a new question from Stefania.
It's about having a job. Okay. I will come with my boyfriend, who is... Are you saying your boyfriend is not a student, or who is now a student? It's a little bit ambiguous because there's a typo, I think, in your question, Stefania. Okay. Well, that depends on the qualifications, I'd say. But in hospitality, Leeuwarden has a lot to offer, part-time or full-time jobs, because we are a student city, and we also will be the cultural capital of 2018. So if your boyfriend works in hospitality, chances are very good that he will find a part-time or full-time job. We have lots of cafes, bars, a few hotels here, so that should not be too difficult. But of course, depending on what his educational level is, he might be looking for something entirely different. And then, yeah, I cannot really give you a yes or no. Leeuwarden itself is quite a vibrant city, so in my perception, it's not that difficult. And otherwise, he can maybe look around. There are other cities not too far. One of them is Groningen. It's about 45-minute drive. It's also a student city, and that might even offer more. But we have also 3 campuses here. There's, for example, Friesland Campina, which is a dairy producer. So I'm not sure what field of expertise your boyfriend has, but those are all opportunities.
Yeah, and in addition, like here in Leeuwarden, it can be an issue for international students that if a student or a person doesn't speak Dutch language, it can be more difficult, but it is possible.
And also, if you are an EU student, then you are eligible for the Dutch study finance, and that is connected to having a part-time job in the Netherlands. So maybe you think, I don't know how to finance my study. If you find a job for X amount of hours, then you can apply for study finance, and that's just an additional few hundred euros per month that you do not necessarily have to work for, but that is something extra to invest in your study or in your student life. But that's only applicable for EU students. And a lot of our students choose to work in hospitality, even though they don't speak the language. I have a few students who started washing dishes because it's quite an easy task, but it still pays. And then once they get used to the kitchen and their employer and their colleagues, they move on in the kitchen or they become waiters. We have an Irish pub here. I have an Irish student who worked there. So that's a very good match, obviously. There are several opportunities for you to find a part-time job as a student. Let's see, do we have other questions? Daria is asking whether she has to have a certain percentage on my exam results. I think we covered a similar question. You do not need a certain grade. Gabi posted a few links in the chat window about the requirements and the diplomas that are good for admission here. So maybe you can check those links to find out more details. So the grade average is not mandatory. And Gabi is answering a question with regards to the international office. If you have questions about what an international student needs to take care of, there is this link io@stenden.com, and there you can get in touch with the international office. And for other questions about the study, you can get in touch with us via study@stenden.com. Gabi's also answering a question now. Are there any more questions about housing, student life, study start week, first year, second year, third year, the hotel? Okay, apparently Gabi was able to answer the question sufficiently. Daria is asking whether she has to apply for student finance before or after. You can only apply for it after you're in the Netherlands, because the organization, I will type it in, the DUO, that is the institution that takes care of study finance. They want to see proof of employment once you're here. I have to admit that's not the fastest organization, but you cannot apply from abroad. They want to see that you study here, that you are enrolled, that you live here, and that you have a job. So you can only do that once you arrive in the Netherlands. But maybe you can look it up online. Duo, of course, has a website. It's very elaborate and gives you some details about the requirements. So maybe you can do some orientation from home. It's duo.com right now. Maybe duo.nl.
I see that Stefania is from Romania. We have quite many Romanians in Stenden, so if you will come, then you will definitely meet other Romanians. There are even like in a club, Hemingway, they have Balkan parties where this is your Bulgaria, Romania music all the time. It's really fun. I've been there and I got a culture shock from the club in Netherlands, which was about the Balkan. It was crazy, but it's really interesting.
Let's see, do we have other questions?
Yeah, maybe you would like to know something more about PBL, or
I will try to find the link to Duo for you. Let's see.
yeah, you can ask anything else. Now it's the time where we can answer.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. Daria is typing in a question. Let's see what that question is. Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
Any other questions? You can ask about anything.
By the way, I mentioned that there are several modules that actually are your study. Every study year has 4 module periods, and those module periods are always 10 weeks long. That means that you have 8 weeks of classes, and there's always 1 study week and 1 test week. So there's 4 times 10 weeks at school, and then we have the summer break. The summer break officially is also a module period. However, if you pass all your classes, do not have any resits or obligations towards the hotel, that is just your summer break. You're free to go and travel wherever you want. A lot of students decide to do some voluntary work. A lot of students decide to find a summer job to finance their next year. But of course, also a lot of students just travel. During the study weeks, there are official study weeks, but there are no classes. So let's say you are very confident or you're very an easy student, then of course you are allowed to travel back home, or I don't know, travel through the Netherlands to see something of the Netherlands, to go to Amsterdam, for example. But if you have lesson weeks, those 8 weeks with classes, then some of the classes are also mandatory, so you need to be present. So take care that you do not miss too many classes, because otherwise it can ruin your break.
We got another question from Patricia. And are exams oral, multiple choice, or depends on the subject? Exams are very diverse. There are multiple choice exams. There are also oral exams. For example, in language module, you will have 1 oral exam and 1 written exam, which was open questions, reading, writing, and so on. It really depends on the module. We also have in every module almost module assignments, which are usually made by groups. And the test weeks are usually, like the exams are usually on the test week. So all the exams are at the same week, so then you can you have 8 weeks to prepare for the test week, that is usually week 9. And every test week you have approximately 2 tests, 2 exams, if you don't have any resets. So it's quite, I like this system. I really like it. Like 8 weeks you can study. It's like studying, relaxing, doing your homework, no stress, and then the test week you have exams, and then you really focus only on exams.
And sometimes the assessment can also mean that you have to give a presentation. So there are a few classes in which you won't get a test and won't get an oral exam, but instead you have to give an individual or a group presentation. That also happens, depending on the subject. But every student can how can I call this? So if let's say multiple choice is not your thing, then you will have alternative tests as well. We do not test everything with multiple choice.
And that's, I think, a very good advantage of this university, as well as the whole overall, like the modules, like it's very flexible. The days differ. They're really different. Some days you go to school 8:30. Sometimes you are in school the whole day. Sometimes you only have 1 class at 3. So like the timing is different. The length is different of the days. So it's really like it's not the same every day. And also with the lectures, you have workshops and BBL lessons. It's not just only reading books and going to the lectures at the same over again. It's nothing like that.
There's a question about after 8 weeks of studying, usually there are 2 tests. Is that correct? Well, not entirely. It can be up to 3, maybe 4, unless you have resits. One module usually, always consists of 3 units. And all those 3 units will be assessed. And it could mean that Unit 1 is assessed with a presentation, Unit 2 is assessed with a written exam, multiple choice, and Unit 3 is assessed by a group project, so a group assignment. Since you always have 3 units, you can assume that there are 3 assessments, of which 2 might be tests.
So it's very diverse, which is nice. enjoy it.
Sometimes you also have individual assignments, so some students find it hard, especially in the beginning, to work with different cultures in a group assignment. Some students are perfectionists, some students are more laid back, so finding a way to work together and collaborate and still get a good grade, that's especially in the beginning of the study often a challenge. But not every assignment is a group assignment, so that means that you can do some independent work as well. Do you have any other questions about assessment, or maybe about students, student life, about our staff? I'm guessing that it's quite obvious, but we teach in English. So from day one on, everything will be in English. All the sources, all the books, the classes, the assignments, and the tests. So you do not need to learn Dutch, but you're always welcome to learn Dutch, because if you spend 4 years here, or maybe 3 years, then it's really handy to at least know some of the language that is spoken.
Yeah, the Dutch language is not necessary to learn, but because like everywhere you go, everybody can speak English. Elderly people, also young adults, like English speaking is really high quality in this country, in my opinion.
There are 2 questions. One of them is really funny. What is the average temperature in Holland? Well, we could just maybe quickly get to Wikipedia and give you a climate chart. Let's say the summer in the Netherlands is rather short, but it's all the more intensive. In the winter, the temperatures vary between, I don't know, what did we have last winter? Let's say -10 to +12, and in the summer I'd say it feels as if the average temperature is 18 degrees, but it's more. Well, it's around 20 degrees in July, August, and in the winter it can really drop below 0 a lot. I've experienced winter here when we had just a few nights -21, but that is not normal. So let's say, well, it's a cold winter. And it's a nice summer, but it's a short summer.
It's very, the weather is very spontaneous. You never know what's going to happen. It's like really funny. Once I had like 4 seasons in one day. It was very hot, very warm, it was sunny, then it started raining, then it was hot again, then it started snowing, and then it's like constantly changing, and then sometimes I'm like, can't you decide already? Like, is it gonna be nice weather or not? It's really, and it's also windy here in Leeuwarden, but yeah, everybody gets used to it.
If you like water sports like sailing or windsurfing, this is the place to go, because there are lots of lakes, or you can just travel to the IJsselmeer. You can sail the IJsselmeer. So especially water sports are very popular in the Netherlands, and well, there are plenty of opportunities. Also, cycling is very popular in the Netherlands, so we advise you to get a bike as soon as possible. You can buy a second-hand bike, or maybe rent a bike in the beginning before you make a decision on what you want. But traveling, moving from A to B is usually done by bike, especially in Leeuwarden. The city is quite small, so if you want to go from Stenden to the city center, it's a 5-minute bike ride.
We have another question from Patricia. Where is the nearest airport by Leeuwarden? There are 2 airports actually quite close to Leeuwarden.
Well, there's one in Groningen, that's Groningen Airport Eelde. But that one is, well, it has only a few destinations, mostly for vacations. Let's see.
And there is one in Amsterdam, which is called Schiphol Airport. And which is convenient about the Schiphol Airport is that the train station is underneath the airport, so it's in the same place. You just have to go a few floors down and buy a ticket, take a train directly, which brings you to Leeuwarden. It's around 2 to 2.5 hours. So it's quite convenient.
There's also another airport in Eindhoven, but that's in the southern part of the Netherlands. So probably if you travel to the Netherlands, I'm guessing that you will fly on Schiphol, Amsterdam. And as Annette said, it's a very easy, about a 2-hour train ride. You do not even have to switch trains. So that's a very easy traveling.
Yeah. For me, when I came to Netherlands, when I first arrived, I was very confused because in my country we don't have this kind of train, that big train transport. So it was very confusing for me. But I went to the the info box, and they helped me with everything. They wrote everything down on the paper. It was very clear. I asked people, everybody helped me with the luggage, everything. So I think it wasn't that difficult. Like, even if you don't know anything, people help you and they advise. Another question is Leeuwarden dialect different from the rest of the country? There is Leeuwarden is situated in Friesland province, and they do have their own dialect Frisian language, but mostly they speak Dutch. Right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Dutch. So like it's like if you go out of Leeuwarden and you're a Dutch speaker, everybody understands you. There is not like the Frisian language is not that popular. It's with the locals, I think, but mostly they speak Dutch. Everybody can speak Dutch.
However, Frisian is an official language in Friesland, so you will see road signs and other, well, communication in 2 languages here. But that's only the case for the province of Friesland. The rest of the Netherlands is just entirely Dutch. There might be some villages or smaller cities that provide the dialect in official communication, but you can trust that the main language is Dutch. And for example, if you move to the province of Groningen or the province of Drenthe, which are the closest one to Friesland, there they have different dialects. So it differs from Frisian. It's still sort of Dutch, but it's probably like in Germany, for example, you have a Bavarian dialect, and then you have a different dialect in Saxony or in Lower Saxony. So it differs per region, but Dutch is the main language. There are, however, quite some students here at school, some Dutch students who are from Friesland, who still are able to talk Frisian. I never learned it, but apparently at home with the parents, it is still common to use this dialect.
Yeah, my best friend also speaks Frisian, and she says when a Dutch speaker who doesn't speak Frisian hears them, they don't understand almost anything. So it's really different.
Do you have other questions about Stenden, the study, the city, or things to see and do in the Netherlands in general? Excuse me.
Yeah, it's nice that you have asked that many questions. The better you know before you come. The more you know, the better, of course.
There's more to come. Let's see what the questions are. Are there any places to do sport close to the university? Yes, very close. You can see the sports facilities from some of the classrooms even. It's very close. We have a center where you can do, well, Pilates, yoga, spinning. Annette mentioned it earlier in the presentation. We also have swimming pools here in the city, and the sport facilities that are so close to the campus or on the campus, they offer everything with a student discount, so you do not have to pay a lot of money to stay fit. And otherwise, you just buy a bike. There are Italian students. Yes, I have an Italian student myself, now even 2. One of them is currently in his 3rd year, and I have another student who's from Sardinia. She's currently in her 1st year. So Italian is just one of the, Italy is just one of the countries that our students are from. We have Spanish students, English, Germans, Romanians, Bulgarians, Bulgarians, Estonians. I cannot tell you what we don't have. We have people from India, China, Vietnam, so it's very, very varied.
We have also many Arubians.
You're from Sardinia. Okay, that's cool. Maybe you know her even. Let's see. Will the course timetable allow for students to get jobs alongside studying? Yes, certainly. However, I mentioned it before. I think I typed it. You have up to, let's say, 15 contact hours per week. That means that are the classes. But you are in a full-time study, so we assume that you spend around 40 hours on your study. Some students need less time to prepare everything and learn for their tests. Others need more, but everything that you want to do next to your study, you're totally free to do that. And reality shows us that a lot of students have a part-time job, either in the evening or in the weekends, or they can schedule it around their classes. So yes, it's doable. Okay, let's see.
Leonardo is typing.
In the first year, I just want to mention the modules again to give you a better insight. In the first year, you have those 4 module periods, and the modules are, of course, practice, 10 weeks. That's one of the modules. And you have a module called guest experience, which mostly covers marketing and the guest experience. So how can you anticipate a guest wishes and also play with those wishes, and how can you satisfy a guest? That is very important in that module. Another module would be resources. That is a module that covers mostly HR, management and organization. There's some law involved to get an idea of how does an organization work, how is it structured, and how do you take care of your staff. And then we have a module that is hospitality operations. It is a module in which you learn about the basics. In the hospitality, it covers hygiene, it covers wine food pairing, beers, a lot of product knowledge is involved, also gastronomy, but also a little bit of law, and some ethics is involved. So it's a very broad module that is really the basics of hospitality, and especially that one will help you a lot in your first year going on to the second year practice.
And we have wine tasting. Wine tasting and beer tasting. It's the whole 10 weeks. I think once or twice a week you have a tasting, I really love that.
There is a question from, I hope I pronounce it correctly, Niall. Gabi is already answering it, whether there's a high demand for student accommodation. It's not that hard to find a room in Leeuwarden, and certainly not comparable to Amsterdam, where it's really hard and very expensive to find a room. And well, the rent is, let's say, 300 to 400 euros for a room, and that includes gas, water, electricity, and sometimes even Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and I really suggest start looking earlier. Then you can maybe choose. Might have some choices. You can really, what you prefer. Otherwise, if you start too late, you really have to just accept whatever you get.
But again, if you are a non-EU student, you are certainly eligible for student housing on campus, and the people who are from outside the European Union, they also get priority when it comes to giving rooms to students.
And I can also tell about some group assignments. It's, for example, in guest experience, we had a really nice group assignment. We had to visit a restaurant in Leeuwarden, and before that we had to make a checklist about service quality. So we made literally a checklist, and then we went to the restaurant with the group. We had a really nice 3-course dinner, and then after later we evaluated their atmosphere, all the details, music, service quality, anything. So it's really like these kind of assignments that you really have to go out of your comfort zone. You really have to work together. It's interesting. You just from the books and study from the books. You actually do something, you do different things. So it's really, I'm very, very happy with my choice.
We try to make you apply theoretical knowledge right away. And in this particular model, it's guest experience, visit hospitality operations. Well, you visit a company, and you have to come up with a survey where you can actually measure guest satisfaction or the quality of the food. What is your perceived quality? In hospitality operations, we have an assignment, which is a group assignment, in which you have to learn more about wine. So everything that you learn in the workshops and the tastings, you have to apply, and you have to come up with a dish. So you create a dish on paper, of course, but I always suggest that you cook it in order to actually taste it, and you have to find a wine that pairs with this dish. So that's how we make you actually apply the knowledge that you acquire in workshops, lectures, and PBL.
Yeah, about this particular assignment, I remember I was in a group with girls, and then we baked really like good dessert, and then we chose the dessert wine, and then after that you taste it, you see how it suits together, and like this kind of assignments is really exciting. It's like you enjoy doing these things. It's really nice experiences.
I actually have one tip for you. There's a module that is resources, and it's a first year module in which you have to do an industrial orientation. And that means that you have to work or have worked for 40 hours in the industry. So let's say you currently already have a job in hospitality that covered at least 40 hours. You can use this job for your industrial orientation. If you haven't done so yet, and you already know that you want to come to Stenden, it's a good idea to orientate yourself and maybe use the summer break to work 1 week or maybe 2 weeks at a hospitality company, because it saves you a lot of trouble once you're here. The module can take place anytime through the year. Not everybody starts in the same module. We shuffle. So let's say you start with resources in your first module. You just got to the Netherlands. You have to still get acquainted with everybody and everything. Then it might be a good idea to have done those 40 hours for the module resources IO report already in the summer. That's just a tip.
I actually had to work these 40 hours in the Netherlands, and it was also my first module here, so that was a little bit like a challenge. I had to work next to the school. I just got used to it. It was quite busy for me. So it's definitely easier if you already did the assignment. You can just focus only writing about the report, like writing the report. Yeah, but it's also possible to do it in the Netherlands, the 40 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. And if necessary, we can assist you. We have, of course, a network, and there are companies who often welcome students that need to do the work for the IO report. So it's certainly not impossible. It's just more convenient for you if you have a chance to do it in the summer, to do it right away. Okay, let's see. Are there any more questions? I see that we've been talking to you for almost 1.5 hours. Hopefully we covered all the questions. If there's nothing else that you need to know urgently or right now, you can always get in touch with us via study@stenden.com, or if you have questions about the international, or for the international offers, it's io@stenden.com. And if there's nothing else you want to know right now, I think we're almost done and can close off. So,
if there are any other questions, then we're going to round it off. I hope it was useful for you. I hope we answered almost all to your questions.
There's one more from Leonardo. Let's see.
And yes, thank you for the attendance.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
You're welcome, Daria. Hopefully we were able to influence your choice in a positive way. It would be great if we were able to welcome you after the summer. And maybe you're even lucky, and Annette will be your host or something, and I will be your coach or your teacher. You're very welcome.
You're very welcome.
That's good to see. Good to see you.
very happy to hear that.
Okay, well, I'd say bye-bye.
Bye.